Hey, this is Holly. I'm a registered dietitian nutritionist and a licensed mental health counselor, and I'm on a mission to help people see lasting weight loss through um, gaining peace with food, overcoming overeating, really feeling good about their body, changing their mind. So, this is all through our mental powers, the power of our mind. And this can really help us make long term weight loss. So today we're talking about stress, see long term weight loss, and if stress is causing you to gain weight. So I'm going to share my screen and I'd like you to think about for you, is stress a factor in your life? And have you ever wondered if it's making you gain weight? I know for me, it's been really a big factor lately in my life, and that's the way it goes, right? And so sometimes we really need good coping mechanisms to get through it. So, have you ever felt like you just can't lose weight no matter what you do? You're not alone if you have. And the truth is, if you are under a lot of stress, it can affect your hormones, it can affect your metabolism, it can affect your eating choices, and it absolutely can lead to weight gain over time. So, stress can make you gain weight. But the good news is there's things you can do to manage your stress and to take charge. So, we're going to talk a little bit about that today. First, let's go into how stress causes weight gain. So, you've all heard about cortisol. Cortisol increases your cravings for sugar and high fat foods. It's considered the stress hormone. And it's released whenever we feel that we're unsafe. In a say, stress is really the body's um, reaction to not feeling safe. So, we go into that fight, flight, or freeze mode. And when our body thinks that we need to survive, when we might need to fight something off or run away, um, what can help us a lot with that is a lot of calories, a lot of energy, stored energy, quick energy. So, cortisol does increase our cravings for sugar and high fat foods. And a study in psychoneuroendocrinology found that high cortisol levels are linked to increased belly fat even if our calories stay the same. And it also lowers our metabolism or slows our metabolism down. So, research in obesity showed that stress can lower our calorie burn by up to 104 calories per day. So, it's not a lot, but significant over time. I mean, 104 calories per day, I think, is something like 10 pounds a year, if I recall correctly. So, what's going on here with this cortisol? You've heard that it may increase fat in the belly area and increase our insulin resistance. So, what's insulin? Insulin is the hormone that pulls sugar out of your blood and helps you put that sugar into your cells. So, insulin resistance is when you're no longer able to get that sugar into your cells as easily. And so you have this sugar running around in your blood, and then your body has to release more insulin to try to get the sugar into the cells or the tissues. And this really can make weight loss really hard when you have higher insulin resistance, more insulin. Um, some people say it's the fat storage molecule, but it's really getting that sugar into your tissues and preventing your body from burning fat, allowing your cells to let go of your fat. All right. And so not only does stress lead to this, it also can disrupt your sleep. And when we have poor sleep, this lowers our leptin. And leptin is a hormone that tells us we're satisfied, we've had enough to eat. Um, and so it helps control our hunger. And stress can increase our ghrelin, the hormone that one of them that increases our drive to eat or makes us feel hungry. So, poor sleep alone can cause weight gain, even if you eat the same amount. So, something to think about. How are you sleeping? So here's some more research, basically just illustrating the relationship between higher levels of cortisol and fat accumulation in the body. So what do we do about all this? Well, of course, we've got to deal with the stress, right? We want to get the or the cholesterol, I've talked about that a lot too, cortisol levels down. Um, and we want to be sleeping better. We just want to be in a calmer state. And that's going to be better, much better for our body weight over time. So, how do we deal with the stress? Well, a lot of people just try to deal with it on their own, right? Or never really get the tools to deal with stress. And I would say, number one, see a therapist for sure. Uh, they can help you accelerate your changes and growth and learning. And a lot of times we see a professional. I can see things in my clients that they can't see in themselves. I will go see a professional counselor for the same reason because they can see in me what I may be missing. So seriously, like consider that if it's something that your stress is really chronic, you feel like you are just kind of going through your days with just a heavy load, and it's not getting better, although you've tried. So if you try to address it on your own, you're not seeing results, consider seeing a therapist. Of course, there's proven uh, behaviors we can adopt that help us reduce our stress. They can be tough to do when we're stressed out, though, right? So it sort of gets to be this vicious cycle. These are the things you can do, but they're so hard to do when you're really stressed out. And learning how to take small steps, set the right goals that you feel confident about. Again, oftentimes when you're working with somebody, they can help frame this so you can have some success in taking the steps that are going to make you feel better over time. So, one, eating better. There's so much information out there now about the quality of our diet and how that affects our microbiome, which is really our whole gut, like the bacteria in our gut, and how that is really considered by a lot of people the second brain because our serotonin is produced in the gut, most of it. That's a feel good neurotransmitter. So we have a lot going on with what we eat and how good we feel. So, nutrition, proper nutrition is very important. I'm not going into what that looks like today. Come back for another video for that. Sleep, I mentioned sleep, but getting enough sleep, very important. And that can help us feel better over time and cope better when stressful events happen, or just with chronic stress, even, things that are perpetual stressors for you. You can learn how to cope with those. Making sure you're moving, physical activity. Oh my gosh, so much about this, right? For helping increase our endorphins and get rid of some of that stress. Supportive relationships with relaxed people, being around those people that make you feel good, that let you blow off steam, have some fun. And sometimes it's our pets, right? Because they are in the moment. And I can talk about mindfulness also in a future video and that ability to stay present and stay in the moment. Our pets do that, right? They are here now with us and they are relaxed most of the time, unless they've had trauma in their lives. And some pets can experience anxiety and even maybe depression. But being around our pets usually is a great way to feel better. Having play in your life. Do you play in your life? Do you get out and have fun? Are there things that you love to do that you make time for? We need that. Again, adults need that as much as kids do. Kids always play, right? And we miss that a lot of times as adults. We just work and sleep and eat and work some more and eat some more. So play. And then having laughter and fun, which is, coincides with play, but making sure you're having fun every day. Consider a medication. Just like I say, consider a therapist, consider a medication. Antidepressants can help take you know, I guess a little bit of the edge off so that you can work more on these issues and it can make it easier to overcome some of these issues over time. And of course, there's other medications that are being looked at right now that aren't yet legal in a lot of areas, like the psychedelics and things like that. So there's some hope that other things will come out. But right now, we know that for a lot of people, antidepressant meds can help a lot, especially if you pair that with therapy, like a cognitive behavioral therapy, seeing a therapist to help you with your issues. Okay, and then learn to cope better. So, what does this look like? Well, know what triggers your stress. So, what's triggering your stress? And then once you know those triggers, you can determine, well, is that something I can avoid? So, awareness is the first step to change. We got to know ourselves, we got to know our mind, we got to know what's happening for ourselves. And sometimes it's not something that you can avoid, but at least you're going to be aware that, yes, this is going to trigger me. So then you can start to think about, well, how can I respond in a new way to this trigger? And again, a therapist can help a lot with that. Understand your subconscious patterns that create stress. So we all have a story about certain things. I'll tell you what, I mean, for a long time, I got stressed out when driving, and I think a lot of people do, right? That's a really common one. In traffic, somebody cuts you off, and you think, oh my gosh, what's that jerk, self-centered, like just pulled out right in front of me. And that thought pattern creates a lot of stress for us, right? So that's a subconscious thought pattern that automatically happens, and we can change that. And we don't know the whole story, right? That person may be in a crisis state. That person may be on their way to the hospital. We never know, yeah, And so really what it comes down to is choosing a way of reacting, or I should say, learning to respond versus react. But we train ourselves to react over time in healthy ways, in ways that are better for us, that don't increase our stress. And then learn how to recognize stress in yourself. So know if you are getting stressed out, what does that feel like in your body? Do you feel it in your stomach? Do you feel it in your shoulders and your neck? Do you feel it? Do you get a headache? Do you feel um, just agitated? Are you snippier? Maybe just a little more irritable. So understanding and noticing those responses that you have, so you can kind of clue in. Oh yeah, now I have a headache. I must be under some stress, or my neck's really tense. And then examine your current reactions to stress. So, when you have a lot of stress, how do you typically react? What do you typically do? Do you fight? Do you shut down? Do you maybe get emotional, maybe get sad? What's going on with you there? And you can retrain over time for new reactions. And this is all by first understanding all of these, areas that I'm talking about so you can learn and be aware of your self and your responses, and then you can learn to retrain. So, in summary, stress is really a part of life, but weight gain doesn't have to be. Now, if you are chronically stressed and trying to lose weight, it's going to be hard, right? It's going to be harder, that much harder to lose the weight. So, I always say, hey, let's start with the stress. Let's start with, for people who are stressed, let's get that under control. Let's get you feeling better there, and it's going to be so much easier to start to tackle these other areas in your life and make healthier choices when you're feeling overall better. So if this is if this information was interesting to you, you found it helpful, please pass it along. Don't keep it to yourself, pass it along and follow this channel because I'm going to be sharing a lot more. Have a great day. Thanks for joining me.